Hello and welcome back to the Clock End, an Arsenal podcast with me, Steve. And joining me, as always, I've got Kelvin. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Steve. Very, very well. No complaints for a Monday.
Second that. It's a good Monday, right?
I mean, yeah, as Mondays go, yeah, it's pretty decent. I mean, if I could have not had to work today, and I'm sure you'll probably agree with that, I think it would have been an elite Monday, to say the least. But there we go.
I feel like Mondays after like a positive weekend of football are always like a lot easier to swallow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This morning, walking the dog, not for the first time since Saturday, whistling a particular song. Just still stuck in my head, mate. I don't know about you. It has not left.
Are you going to give me a rendition, are you? What was that?
Is that not good enough? No, you asked me to whistle.
Terrible. It sounded like you opened the door, or the front door, and there was like a mild breeze coming in.
Yeah, I know, mate. Look, I'm not an elite whistler. What can I say? I know you're elite at everything. Everything.
You're definitely not an elite whistler.
No, I've never proclaimed to be either. But you asked for a demo on the spot. You got one, whether you liked it or not. That's a you problem, not a me. So anyway, should we dig into the good stuff? I mean, listeners, as much as they love listening to this.
So listeners, we will be getting into Bournemouth very shortly. We have got some new segments on the podcast today. So those who were a fan of On This Day, for the time being, we're going to park that. I feel like we've probably exhausted every starting 11 in the past 20 years.
It's got a bit repetitive. And I started off shite, right? And then I got relatively good. I wonder why that was. But there we go.
What we've got instead today is we reached out to the listeners over Instagram and we asked you to submit your fan failures, match day fan failures. And we've also got a segment of questions, which is, a range of questions about anything Arsenal related, really. So we'll get stuck into that later. So Arsenal hadn't won their opening 3 games since 2004-2005. Could you believe that?
Yes and no, I guess, because yes, we've been fairly shite and inconsistent for a number of years. But to think it went that far back is mad, actually. Really mad.
Literally, I thought I was like, really? Surely not. But the stat police were out.
Crazy that's a footballing first for some Arsenal fans, by the way.
Bournemouth away, I guess you could say in the past, it's quite often a tricky fixture, right? A fixture that causes problems. Fair to say, it was pretty much a one-sided affair. This Arsenal team under Mikel Arteta, sometimes been criticised for, being quite slow off the mark. Saturday, it couldn't have been any different, from the off, straight at them. So what are your thoughts on that first 45 minutes?
I mean, very reminiscent to Palace away in relation to how we started. It was electrifying, to be perfectly honest with you. It was, Jesus was picking up the ball and going off on mazy runs, which we love to see. It's really good. It's just the chap's work ethic in general. It's something what I probably wasn't expecting. I know he works hard, but it's the gritty side of it as well, which we're seeing. He's not afraid to show throw a shoulder in, if I can get those words out. Which it's part of the game that we've missed a little bit. I think just that physicality. We've always been a bit of a soft team, so when we do go down to these lower league or lower clubs in the league, sometimes we get bullied. And I think we were talking about on the pre-match pod before Bournemouth, and we're like, even when you look back at the history of results, there weren't many, as we found out, but that was all through the period where we were soft, and a lot of those games were so close, bar one. But yeah, we never really pulled their pants down in any particular way. And I mean, the first 45 minutes, it was just superb, wasn't it? And we started really, really well. I'm sure you'll probably want to go into the details of the goal.
Let's get into that first goal. It was, even before the goal, the build-up play from Gabriel Jesus, the way he that ball comes down to him, he glides through the Bournemouth midfield, right? Plays it to Martinelli, semi decent shot, parried out, and then nice sort of finish from Odegaard. But it's all on Jesus. That is, it's night and day to have this sort of player at the club. It's incredible 100%. what lift, and it's just like I feel incredibly lucky. I'm very fortunate to have someone who has that much quality. You know, to be able to do that, like it was very reminiscent of like the likes of Santi Cazorla, Alexis Sanchez. You know, they'd sort of get the ball in a semi-dangerous position and be able to, you know, really just create something out of nothing and ask questions of defensive. And it feels so refreshing to have that. You know, I don't want to sort of talk about last season and bang on about Lacazette and Aubameyang, but you see where we've come. It's just like, wow, you know, what an upgrade, what a step up. And you know what? Yeah, people are sort of looking at us now thinking that, yeah, they've got a genuinely, like, you know, you look at our front four, front five, it's frightening, right? And
it can only get better as well. I think that's the frightening part of it because, and look, I'm not going to say Saka's been playing poorly, he's been playing well, but when you look at the front three, he's probably been the lesser of them. He hasn't really found his feet from a goal scoring point of view just yet. It will happen, and when it does, maybe Martinelli will have an off day, but that's what you want, right? You need somebody to pick up when the other's not. So we're getting away with it fine. He's still playing well, he's still linking up well with Ben White on the right hand side, but back to Jesus, it's just, like you say, it is night and day. And it's funny, I can't, when you were just talking, I couldn't help but just think back to January because, and again, we don't want to go back to last season, but January was such a pivotal point for us last season. And we all would have bitten your hand off of Vlahovic, right? For what, 70, 80 mil, whatever it was that was floating around at the time.
Yeah.
And to think that we've got Jesus who has just slotted in like he's always been there. Again, I think, buying Premier League players is something we've not done massively over the years as well. I think a lot of us have spoken about it, that even when you dip down to the lower clubs, you've got players that know the league, and that makes a big difference because they can slot in. They know what it's like to play in England. They know what it's like to go to these little small grounds and play tough away games. They know what the weather's like. The two lads that obviously come from City know how to play Arteta-style football, should we say, where it's incredibly fluid from a tactical point of view. But, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I think getting Jesus for 40. Actually, how much did we pay for him? 40 mil? Was it 40 or 45?
45 million.
Yeah,
45 million.
So
there's probably add-ons and all and various hidden costs in there. Probably. You could round up to 50 to be on the safe side.
Yeah, to be on the safe side, but I think it was worth the wait, wasn't it? Very much so. Yeah. I mean, I haven't thought about Vlahovic.
No,
not even a little bit.
You know
any
what's
other
interesting
striker
about the Jesus signing? Like, we were linked to him for like a long period of time as well. And there must have been other clubs sniffing around, given the quality and the fact that he chose to come to Arsenal. Who, let's be fair, we did miss out on Champions League football last season, so that must have played a big part of in the decision making. So, credit to Arsenal for getting that one over the line. Moving on to the second goal. To be honest, first thoughts was, he's off. He's got to be off. I don't know how they were cutting the lines. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's another one we'll talk about in a bit, I'm sure. But yeah, I obviously in real time, I thought, yeah, great goal. Obviously celebrated it, and then obviously we spoke about this so many times. Sometimes you've got to stop letting yourself celebrate goals, right? Because you're never sure what's going to happen in the following 30 seconds. But when it went to review, yeah, I mean, my gut feeling was offside, to be perfectly honest. Marginal, right? Really, really marginal. But when these decisions are being made, whether it's against us or not, as hard as it is to take when it is against us, I think we need to revert back to the old rule, and that is, give the benefit down unless it's clear and obvious. Which that's gone out way out the window, isn't it? A long time ago at this point, when we're drawing lines and giving toes and fucking fingernails offside or whatever you want to, whatever it is you're looking at. So
what if you wear false fingernails? What if you have your nails done? What are you meant to do?
Those real long pointy ones. They'll have your eye out.
Or literally, if you've got size 16 feet. I mean,
Carney would have been fucked.
Yeah, literally. I know it's few and far between. Or if you've got like a Marge Simpson style haircut, you've got to think about these things, right?
Yeah, you do. But no, I mean, gut feeling it was offside. I thought it was offside, but the fact it was given, fucking what a start. I mean, I was buzzing like everybody else.
It's sort of like kind of took the wind out of Bournemouth's out, right? It just
massively
knocked the stuffing out of them, and it was such a fiery start. And like,
they couldn't cope.
I think you make a really good point there. Actually, it did feel very similar to Palace, but whereas Palace, we got that first goal, and then we did have chances. We didn't sort of get that second goal in place. Whereas that second goal was so key on Saturday, and we did feel largely comfortable. And the Arsenal in me, in the back of my mind, said, I feel like we need a third. Just so I can relax. I'm sure you were thinking the same, right?
Yeah, I think we all do, mate. And I think, is that just Arsenal? Is that every football fan? Because, it's classic. When you go in, 2-0 at half time, no matter what level of football is, you all know whoever scores the next goal, it's massive, right? Because that's it. It either kills the game or someone's straight back in it. Momentum shifts. Home's, especially when you're away from home, home crowd will be, right up for it again. But, they just couldn't cope with this. For that, however long it was, they had no answer. We had everything, every aspect of the ball, all of the play. Ramsdale was a bystander. He could have been stood in the away end singing the SALIBA song as well, for all it mattered, to be perfectly honest with you.
Literally.
He did nothing, which, and again, look, how many times have we said that about an Arsenal side, where our keeper has had literally nothing to do for a full half of football. I mean, it's great to see. It's great to kind of just, and again, I think we will do it throughout the season, hark back to last season, especially at this stage. But, the contrast between, where we were last season. And yeah, those opening 3 games were way more difficult than the opening 3 we've had this year. But to go 3 on the bounce, no goals, to, 3 losses, that is, and then 3 wins, we're scoring not for fun, but we're scoring well. We've got 2 away at Palace, 4 at home to Leicester, another 3 again on Saturday at Bournemouth, and 2 clean sheets. It's just so refreshing. Good, right? Yeah,
so refreshing.
Yeah, really good.
No, it really is. I think what I'm really enjoying about watching this Arsenal team at the moment is how fiery we are. The intensity is. I mean, it's almost like reminiscent of like Leeds United, like to be able to hopefully we don't burn out too fast or too soon. But it's almost like what I've noticed, like in those midfield battles, we're just like so on it, and there's the little passes, and we're playing like little triangles. That, if you notice, we're very narrow in that midfield, but it's working, and we're getting the ball off the opposition. A few little, maybe like a couple of meter passes, a couple of yards, and it's just here we go again, and it's very positive, very direct, very forward focus. It found sort of like in recent years very negative, and we sort of we'd kind of play the horseshoe. It felt like where's this goal going to come, whereas now it just feels like every time we win the ball in that sort of middle of the park, final third, that it just feels like anything's possible. It's exciting. It does remind me of like those Wenger years where we were playing fast, free flowing football, very creative, moving the ball around, at a speed that the opposition just can't cope with
intent as well, right? And I think one of the things that the documentary that was out recently, and we've all pretty much watched at this point, one of the things which I noticed Arteta said a lot, whether that be before a game or at halftime, was always about how you progress the ball. How many times did he used to say, pass it forward. I want to see you moving forward. I want that first pass to be forward. Always be going forward. And I just think he's just drummed that into these guys' heads, because when you were saying about the horseshoe there, you don't really see that very often anymore, because we're moving forward at pace, something which used to frustrate the living shit out of me and you when we were doing the early podcast, where you'd win the ball back, you pass it around at the back for ages, when there was a potential to go and break. And then by the time we decided to move the ball forward, the opposition are back where they need to be, set, which is then has that knock-on effect to the horseshoe football, because you're trying to find a way around. Whereas now, if you transition fast, there's gaps, there's spaces, there's all this sort of stuff which you can actually be proactive. And it's just night and day, isn't it? And it's great to be patient sometimes in football. Good. Whether it's hard at the time, but when you start to see it come to fruition, it's worth it, isn't it?
A big advantage of our team as well is like, when we do have these great starts, when it almost the opposition has to come out, they have to have a go at us, and it sort of buys into that. If you look at how much pace we have now, so we're so dangerous on the break as well. So it's so exciting. But we'll keep our feet on the ground. Like I said last week,
we're all really trying.
We're trying not to get too excited. It's only 3 games. Moving into the second half. How fitting was it, after being serenaded for most of the game with his new song, that William Saliba, with an absolute beautiful finish to make it 3-0.
Yeah, it was an absolute, it's one of those kind of goals that, because obviously, again, you're not overly familiar with him in those areas, if you know what I mean. Like when the strike went in, I didn't actually pay attention to who it was. I was just like, whoa, what a goal. And then I was like trying to obviously look at the TV again, who scored that actually? And then to see him running off, obviously number 12 on his shirt, I was like, fuck me sideways. Like,
literally.
What a finish. And you're like, what? You know, to go from, you know, and it was funny because sometimes you'll have these quiet thoughts in your mind when you're watching games and you're like, you know, when you're 2-0 up and you're literally bossing the game, you kind of sat there going, oh, it'd be nice, wouldn't it, if SALIBA got a goal? That would really, you know, we love him anyway, but it just really help him, you know, move on from the own goal last week, blah, blah, blah. You just have these little fucking, you're away with the fairy thoughts. I like to think of them sometimes. And to see him not, you know, you wouldn't expect him to score that. I would expect him, it'd be lovely to see, you know, a towering, thumping header from a set piece. But to literally wave his, you know, not even his strong foot, he's right footed, but to wave his left wand and to watch that ball just arch, it was like picture perfect as well. When you see a keeper at full stretch. And yeah, my only small complaint, but he might have been told about this, but I couldn't help but think you should have gone over to the away end to celebrate because wow, it would have been pretty special.
Literally on my wavelength. I was debating, should I bring that up or was that like a mood killer? But no, yeah. No. Why are you running over there? That really annoys me when people do that. Do you reckon
like I said,
like spirit of the moment, they run and they don't really think about it maybe? Not that it matters. You just scored a worldie. No. You go where you want, mate.
Yeah, not that it matters at all. And this is being really picky, but, you know, take your moment. I mean, to be honest with you, you had about, 35, 40 minutes of a moment because everybody, I mean, what must that be like, right? You're 20 years or 21 years old. You know, you're in a new country playing for your new team. You just, you know, kind of find your feet in the squad and then you get serenaded, just you, for literally half an hour of a football match. That must be like... Yeah. How does that feel? How does that feel? But yeah, that was the only thing I know. But the only thing I thought of, because I think it might have been Tim Stillman that said it on another podcast I listened earlier, but because the away end's so small, and obviously that stadium only holds 10 to 11,000, something like that, with
10 people.
Mad, isn't it? Like 1/6 of the Emirates is their entire stadium. But I think it's something to do with, yeah, you can't go over there because people will end up on the pitch or God knows what. So yeah, I think that might be the only thing. But yeah, I wanted to see it.
No, that's fair. You know what I love as well? Like we've got that song, we've got the Zinchenko song. It's so nice to have like, you know, all these new songs coming through. You know, it gets a bit tiresome in the past when it's just, you know, so no. So
I mean, I still love a good Arsenal. I do still love the good Arsenal rousing chant.
Hold that thought because that may or may not be one of the questions later.
Interesting. I haven't seen, by the way. So yeah.
You haven't. Wow, I'm keeping my cards close to my chest, as they say. So we did score a fourth. Unfortunately, it was disallowed. It was a lovely goal, which was really disappointing. It was such a nice goal and a nice finish from Gabriel Jesus, and thoroughly deserved after his a solid performance. I was actually quite surprised, you know, bearing in mind how tight the second one was. I thought, if anything, it looked like you could argue it was more onside than the other one, right?
I thought so. I really did. I thought that at the time. I was like, the one you gave looked more offside than this one. But it's one of those funny situations that when you're 3-0 up, you're cruising.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, you get away with it. But if that's 0-0 and it's a very different outcome, it's a different feeling. Or even if you're 1-0 down and chasing the game. So look, I mean, you can kind of let it away. What pissed me off though, because obviously you want to see a new striker doing well. And I actually text James about 2 minutes before. And I said, the only thing that's missing, I'd really love to see just Jesus get, you know, an away goal. Because he obviously hasn't scored away from home for us just yet. I was like, it'd be nice to get that one off. And then literally he scored 2 minutes later. And then obviously I got a bit excited about that. And then I think it was Chan who put it in the group, said this might be offside. So I was brought back down to earth. But even when I saw the replay, I thought,
mood killer.
Yeah, mood killer, innit? What's the phrase? Something vacuum. Mood, is it? Mood vacuum. So I don't know.
I've never heard that. Must be an Irish.
Probably.
Slang, I don't know. Is that an Irish slang, is it?
It might be a personality vacuum. He's not that, Chan, by the way. Love you, mate. I'm not saying that about you at all. But I think that's what I'm going at there. But
I mean, I have no idea where you go with this, mate.
Me neither. Most of the time, I know, I'll always say we'll get there, but half the time I never know where I'm actually going. So yeah, that's my life. Welcome.
Yeah,
but no, it would have been great. That ended.
It would have been great. It is what it is. I thought this is regardless of the goal, he was phenomenal on Saturday. Who would you go with your man of the match with that in mind?
Tricky. Really, really tricky one to pick because I think even regardless of goals, it's nice to see that Odegaard's found his feet already this season. I think, we spoke after Palace and said he was fairly anonymous, but he loves playing at the Emirates, that lad. And it's, when Odegaard's on it, because he'll do two things in every match, and that will be just wonderful footwork at some point. But also, one of the things I love about him is when a ball's played to him, and he just does the dummy where he feigns away from it to let the ball run behind him for someone else. So when you see those, you know that he's at the races. But look, to get 2 goals in 10 minutes, like he did at the start, and he was pulling the strings. And when he did come off, and again, it's hard to really look at it because I thought that we changed in the final third. We weren't as effective as we were when he was on. So there's obviously him, but then it's hard to not look at Gabriel Jesus as well because he was phenomenal.
Are you going to give me an answer, or are you just going to talk for 45 minutes?
I could talk for another 45 because there's others that you could bring in. But look, I think if I had to go, it's probably just
throw a dart. Right,
you pick for me because I can't. Yours is one of those two, so I'll happily. I'm
gonna go with William Saliba just because the song, the performance, the goal. I've got some great stats to go with it because I come prepared. You see.
I don't.
So William Saliba's stats against Crystal Palace: 100% pass accuracy, 100% long ball accuracy, 2 tackles, 2 clearances, 2 interceptions, 5 recoveries, 2 ground duels won, and he was drilled past a total of 0 times.
Not bad. I'll go. My man of the match is Aaron Ramsdale, just for making one save. How about that then? Instead,
fair enough. I have to say as well, that pink shirt is growing on me so much.
Yeah, it's
really like it.
I'm still looking forward to when we eventually wear the black one, though.
I mean, that is also sick. Like, what can you say? Adidas have smashed out the park.
Always.
Anything else you want to add on Bournemouth before we move on?
I mean, there's not too much to talk about that we already haven't because it was just such a dominant display from us. Good to see Emil Smith-Rowe get some minutes. I think the only maybe small
we forget about him, don't we?
Which is mad.
Forget that we've got him. We've actually got depth on our bench now, which is like, a massive improvement on last season.
I mean, it's hard not to improve on last season when you look at what some of the benches we had last year, especially when we're in that second half with the injuries. But it would have been nice to see Fabio Vieira, but I can live without that. But yeah, it's good to see, Arteta use all 5 subs in that situation as well, because keep the legs fresh. So really, really happy to see that.
This is the sort of game like at 3-0, I'd just be like, let's make 5 substitutes. And I think you will see more of that throughout the season with the build-up games.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because, I mean, obviously my old man was texting me the other day, just as he does throughout games, he's obviously enjoying it as much as we all are. And he says, I'm trying not to get excited. Again, like we all are. But he says, once we're through October, and if we still look good then, because our fixtures in October are frightening, to be honest with you. I think we've got City, Liverpool, Spurs. Like, that's 3 massive games in a month. And if we're still looking good, then
I'm not even going to entertain this conversation. Stop dreaming. It's the hope that kills you. So we're going to move on to one good, one bad, or as Kelvin likes to call it, talk for half an hour about my bad week I've had at work.
Hey, that's not that bad.
What's your one bad for the week, mate?
One bad, okay. I'm just going to throw it out to you as well because I'd love to know your take on this. But my one bad is actually Aubameyang at the minute, and it's just the links that are getting stronger for him going to another team in London.
Hasn't he got an Arsenal tattoo? I'm pretty sure he has. Right?
Yeah, he does.
Weird.
Yeah, it is a bit odd.
That's fair. That's fair.
It wouldn't, as much as I think it's bad, wouldn't really annoy me too much because I just don't think he's cut for the Premier League anymore. in my opinion.
Right. Fair enough.
What's your one bad?
My one bad, as much as I enjoyed Saturday, don't get me wrong, I couldn't help but feel like I wish I was at the game.
Yeah.
Like, just like not being able to be at the game. Just, it's like that voice in the back of your head. I'm trying to, like, almost in denial, like, this is fine. I'm enjoying it. Like, don't get me wrong, there's sometimes where I'm not that arsed. For example, like United away, I didn't want to go, so I chose not to. And there's like a load of lads going up there, and they're like, "Well, why aren't you going?" And I was like, "No, just there's some games I don't want to go to." But
if we're 2-3-0 up with half an hour to play, you'll definitely wish you were there.
Maybe, and if that's the case, you know what? If we're going to win 2-3-0, I'll take that on the chin.
Absolutely.
But no, yeah, that's my one bad for it. Just not being there on Saturday, because these are those games, those moments. That's what it's all about.
In the sunshine as well. Yes. 100%.
Yeah, man. What's your one good for the week, other than Arsenal winning, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, you could have gone for all of them being top of the league. Obviously, Saliba. I mean, there's loads of good that you could pick Arsenal related, but new socks. Yeah, I've got loads of new socks. You love those new pink ones, didn't you? Big fan.
Questionable.
Look, everyone owns questionable
Don't wear
attire.
them to the wedding.
Oh, I might do now you said that, just to be an arsehole.
I'm definitely going to bin them all when you come to stay.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I'll wake up, I'll be one of those no sock wankers with a suit on. Oh, literally. No need for that. My one good is it is still Arsenal related, but how nice was it to hear Granit Xhaka get a song?
Yeah, we've got Granit Xhaka. We've got Granit Xhaka.
My turn to return the compliment from earlier. That was horrendous. Probably on a par with my whistling.
Okay. I don't know. We'll let the listeners be the judge of that. Your whistling was pretty abysmal. I might have to edit that later, just so they can hear it.
Just leave it in.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's leave it in. Jesus. We'll have to lower the tone.
It was you pre-Bournemouth, so I may as well just do a little bit afterwards.
I'm on my best behaviour today. So I'm going to go, actually, I'm going to move away from Arsenal, as great as it was. And I'm going to go with Chelsea Leeds, because watching Chelsea lose brings me immense joy. And in the way it happened as well was just phenomenal. And what made it even more funny was when Thomas Tuchel came out after the game and went, "We travelled to Leeds by bus instead of plane." Yeah.
That's a first world problem, isn't it? Sorry.
Wow. And it turns out the team flew there. It was only the coaching staff who actually went on a bus.
So it's the most irrelevant point ever.
Honestly, does he think like the likes of like Yeovil and like Carlisle are flying across the country week in, week out?
Of course they are.
The audacity. But
I know.
I thought it was very funny anyway. That
their new centre half gets sent off as well for 2 ridiculous bookings as well. Very funny. It was all around very funny. When you see
very funny, very good. It was a nice. It was kind of the cherry on the cake. It's a shame that City did get back to the game and Tottenham also won. But hey, you know what? I take Chelsea losing. It's always a bonus, right?
100%. Absolutely couldn't agree more with that.
So should we move on to our new segment? So it was actually Mrs. Page who came up with this idea, if I'm right.
I know, yeah, it was. She came out of the woodwork there. And she was like, I was listening to the pod. She does that every now and again. She was just sitting in the background. Not in the room, but she obviously I speak quite loudly. You might have heard this.
You do.
And yes, I'm born with an outdoor voice, we call it. But she was like, I've got an idea. And I was like, go on then. What is it? And then obviously she typed it all out and I sent it over to you and you bit it straight away. So
didn't I reply saying that's terrible and then never speak to me again?
Wow. Can't be saying that, especially when you literally jumped on it straight away. Come on.
Great idea, Mrs. Page. I've always been a fan of you. Always been a fan.
Yeah.
So what we're going to be doing each week is asking people on Instagram or Twitter to submit your fan failures. It could be anything, whether you're at the game or at the pub or at home. Just a funny story relating to the Arsenal. So thank you to everyone who sent them in. We got quite a few actually in, but we're just going to go with one today, and then we'll ease our way in. So this is from Alex Leader 7 on Instagram. Canadian fan failure, December 2019. Father-son trip to London. We secured tickets to West Ham away with the travelling fans. If you remember, this was a 3-1 game under Freddie Lundberg, I think.
One of his handful of games, yeah.
Yeah, Nicolas Pepe scored an absolute banger. So the failure occurs during half-time when I went to secure some drinks. Off I go, grab the pints. 2 for me and 1 for the old man. What? We were losing at this point, so cut me some slack. To be fair, Alex, 2 pints is absolutely fine. That's
Steve's doing that at 1-0, 2-0, 3-0.
That's just a norm for me. Literally. When I realised one annoying difference between English stadiums and North America, no beers in the stands. Yeah. Okay, fine. Not a big deal. 8 minutes to the second half, I'll just call my dad to meet me on the concourse. Alas, there is a problem. The old man was too cheap to buy an international data plan, so nothing's going through. 5 minutes to go, I have one option. As a proud Canadian, I choose to leave no pint behind and downed all 3. Top work, Alex. I respect that. That
is, pat yourself on the back for that one.
Maybe it was a drink or the adrenaline, but when Pepe scored in front of us, my phone launched 3 rows down. It was worth every crack. Excellent story, Alex. I love that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a proper fan story, though, isn't it? Like, one, you're somewhere completely new. You know, you don't know the rules of English football, which are stuck in the dark ages. You know, imagine you could have a beer inside of a football pitch. You can't even do it in corporate level because the shutters come down. You can't even stand.
It's mad.
It's big bonkers.
That's
right?
mad. That is ridiculous. They do that.
I mean, who's going to pay 500 quid for a corporate ticket to kick off? Nobody. Do you know what I mean? It's just fucking mental. But yeah, it's just one of the things. But yeah, I'd love to have seen the state of his phone, especially if it was an iPhone. I can only imagine. I think most of us experienced a smashed iPhone at some point, right? And when it goes, they don't just go, they fucking go.
Those things are like rich tea biscuits, aren't they?
Rich teas, man. I can't. Nobody can mention rich teas without me thinking of Peter Kay. By the way, when the hobnobs, just where I instantly.
Literally. So yeah, Alex, thank you for your story.
That is a cracker. I do question though why there was only 1 point for your dad and 2 for you. Bit selfish. Unless that was a pre-agreed.
Poor. That is.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
funny story.
Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Absolutely.
Next week we're a little bit pushed for time tonight because someone's double booked. So next week we will someone's going out for dinner, and it's not me.
Yeah, I forgot. Sorry.
So next week we will dive into that a little bit more. But we do have some fan questions, audience listener questions.
There we go. Get it out, Jesus.
Get it out. So you haven't seen these, have you? So I'm just going to kind of just dive in.
I want to hear your answers here as well, though. These aren't just for me.
Of course. Right? Yeah, Good. Of course. So N5 Arsenal 1 asks, favourite AFC kit?
Wow. Ever or this season? Ever. I'd say if he hasn't just said this season, then it's going to have to be ever.
This could this sort of question could make you late for dinner.
Absolutely. Because we've had these discussions before, and we go around the houses. But right, in the interest of time, because I have to be,
just pick one.
Yeah, it's got to be the 94, 96 Dramberg Nike home shirt.
Yeah,
has to be.
Same here. Home and away. The first blue one
and the third. Yeah, and the third.
And the third one, and the Goldie shirt as well. And the Goldie shirt is. Basically, Drambergs.
Everything that Nike Premier dropped that particular season, or for
between
the 2
years of
seasons
1994 and 1996,
was elite.
Literally, elite. Luca _O'Meara asks, "What is your favourite chant?"
Favorite chant? Oh, Jesus Christ! That's That's a hard one to answer after the weekend. But yeah, I mean, look, you just got to go William Saliba, haven't you? I mean, it's been stuck in my head since this brand new shampoo. But my God,
brand new shampoo. I like that. I do like the Saliba song, but for me, in terms of like current songs, I love the Super Mikel Arteta. Just that one. Just like I love, like it's just a real banger. You can't beat that one for me.
You know, it's funny. I was only having a thought before the game, or maybe last week at some point, but there was one song which disappeared for ages from the fan base, and that was, you know, you used to sing Arsene Wenger's "Red of My Army," and then in between it you go, "We
Charlie."
We hate Tottenham."
Oh, no, it's that's Arsene Wenger's having a party, isn't it?
Yeah, so like Arsene Wenger's "Red of My Army," "We hate Tottenham," and it came back at the weekend. I heard it. Mick Arteta's "Red of My Army," "We hate Tottenham." I was like, "Fucking yeah!"
Oh yeah, nice. That's a classic.
Yeah. Here's a classic. Yeah, sometimes the old school can sometimes be the good ones too, but I love a lot of the new ones as well.
Yeah, anything apart from watching Tottenham.
Which
brings me on to my next question. Which brings me to Lower North Bank, aka Chan. What do we think of Tottenham? There's always one, isn't there?
Always one. That's so childish. But shit. Just for clarification.
Yeah, literally. What do you think of shit? James 93 AFC. When will you hold Arteta accountable for the last 2 seasons? He's been gagging for this for weeks. I always get a text asking about this.
Hang on, but what we hold him accountable for? I don't know. Why are you bringing the move
for not qualifying for the Champions League?
I think you can't hold him responsible for the crop of players that were there before he joined. That's how I kind of assess it. And it was always going to be a case of time, which we spoke about a lot. Now, there was a big blip with a number of defeats in a row where I think we all questioned our belief in everything at that time. But I think it was always going to have to be a case of patience. Let's just see where we are. We said it 3 years down the line. It had to be that long. The whole thing needed to be started from scratch. So, in answer to your questions, James, I'm not going to hold him accountable for the last 2 years.
James and also, going to knock you out when he sees you.
He is. I know he is. But you got to look forward. There's no need to be looking back over the last 2 years.
I'll get an abusive text later.
Good. I hope you get all. No. What about you though? What's your thoughts on
that? I mean, I was Arteta out until sort of Christmas last year, wasn't I? I was very sort of critical.
Yeah.
I was very sort of on the fence. You know, there was sort of weeks where I was very Arteta in, and then very sort of Arteta out. And you know what? You know, I'll eat my humble pie.
Yeah, it's a tasty humble pie.
I'm very happy that the club stuck with him. Bearing in mind, like he won the FA Cup. That was such a great moment for him and the club. And
true,
I was always very conscious of that sort of ending badly. And you just don't want to see those sort of things. And living in this sort of post Wenger era at the club, we don't want to end up like Man United. So I'm glad the club stuck by him. And you could argue last season we did drop the ball. We should have finished in the top 4. Watching that documentary the week, reminded me how we were considerably. Was it 3 points?
We were in a great place. We were in
Tottenham.
Yeah,
it was there, and we blew it. So
it was there, but like
is it on Arteta? Is it on the players? 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Combination, and it like we spoke about last season. I think it was just a case of just ran out of steam, didn't have enough depth. It's that simple, in my opinion. And bit us in the arse, isn't it?
There we go. I hope that answers your question, James. We can talk more about it soon, I'm sure. Tom Bedford 14. He's asked a few, Tom. Tom's asked some bangers, but I'll just pick one. Right. How can the club crack down on fans selling tickets for high prices online? This is a really interesting one, actually, because it's definitely sort of been a lot more rife since Arsenal started winning. Since we've been on that upward trajectory, the demand for tickets has gone up, and it's annoying. I think you should always, if you're going to sell tickets, you should always sell face value, 100%. And you should never rip off a fairly gooner. So. I'll throw it to you first. What could the club do about it?
Well, it's a weird one. I think I was only talking to someone about this recently. I can't remember who it was. Apologies. ticket touting in general, that's part of the problem. I don't even understand how it works for the Emirates home games anymore because, and again, forgive me, I haven't had to buy a paper ticket unless it's an away game. I can't remember when for a home game. So I really struggle to understand how you get away with doing this when you have to do it via ticket exchange, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
But I guess you could charge
you
what you want.
You can print off paper tickets, though.
Well, that would be a way to stop it. But then
maybe it's like a printout of with the QR code on.
Yeah. I mean, if stop that being allowed, and you'd have to have a membership card, but I know that's unfair on people who don't have them. I don't know, mate, in answer to it, because the only way to do it would be for people to, scroll through social media, because I think that's where a lot of it stems from. How many fake accounts do you find on Twitter or heard about it where they're people ripping people off, not only for fake tickets, but for the, for normal match day tickets as well. So I don't know. That's a really good question. I think
it's difficult, isn't it? There's no, interesting enough, actually, Tottenham puts now recently about they would they're cracking down on this with their away tickets. And I think, listen, we've definitely, been on the end of gaining tickets for games where, in terms of, having a season ticket and credits, you could argue, well, you guys shouldn't be there. So we've benefited from it, right? I've never paid above face value, but it's difficult because if you started, cracking down and saying, right, they're going to do ID checks, well, it's an interesting topic, but it's one that there's no real way to fix it unless you have a zero, tolerance, zero tolerancy. Is that the right word?
Yeah, zero tolerance towards it. I mean, but unfortunately, mate, it just applies to life in general, doesn't it? There's always someone who's going to take the piss, basically, and literally just get their own, make money off things that they probably shouldn't do. And that's just a very small example of it.
Yeah. Next question, Paul Hill Creative. How would you feel about Oba joining Chelsea? Would you be upset?
Well, kind of touched on it earlier. But it's one of those where I wouldn't want to see it necessarily, because it's just why it's very different to the Fabregas situation, obviously. Always way past his prime. But like I said earlier, I watched Aubameyang in an Arsenal shirt for 18 months and he did fuck all in an Arsenal shirt in the Premier League. I won't use my... Actually, no, I will. He couldn't finish a wank. That's one of my favourite phrases for strikers that go through bad patches of form.
I hope there's no children listening to this, man.
Well, we put the warning on the podcast. That's what it's there for,
that is true. You always text me say you've not put the explicit yes. Does your podcast explain explicit language? You know what? I think with Aubameyang, we've had so much bad luck in recent years with players sort of, we've always ended up with their fucking outcasts who've been shit, and they've had the better of our players. I really hope he goes there and he just stinks the place out, and it's like,
same.
And you know what? We'll see. Knowing our luck,
he'll score against us.
15, 20 goals, and it'll be like,
he won't do that. There's no way.
No.
There's no way that's happening. And that's why I'm not worried about it, because it's all well and good for people to go, well, he's been scoring goals in Barcelona. I'm sorry, but there's no league that is as competitive throughout as the Premier League. There just isn't.
I don't think he's got the fitness anymore, has he?
Well, I mean, he had some fitness issues at the end for various reasons. COVID. He also, what else did he have? Malaria, things like that. That wouldn't have helped, but he's just not going to cut it in the Premier League. He's not anymore. He's
also got a terrible disease in terms of what he wears. I think he gets dressed in the dark most mornings. Another question from Paul Hill. Steve, when you get married... Wow, this is quite funny though. It's not really a question. It's for you. It says, Steve, when you get married, is tequila going to be your first dance song? No.
And tequila shots or little bottles of tequila should be the what's it called? The wedding, when you put some on the
wedding favors.
That's it. Yeah, tequila's all around.
No, we do have shots though, but not tequila. Oh, it might be. Who knows?
They better not be that lemon. What is it? Lemon. So a lot of
lemon chili.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
No idea. I don't know. I didn't know what wedding favors were until about a week ago.
True.
So, We've got time for just
one more then. We'll do one more. Two more.
We'll do two more. Two more. So, Jim, JRSBK, favorite player of the squad right now?
Oh,
that's
a tricky one. I thought you said two quick ones. Fuck. Right now, I'm just gonna have to go with Jesus at the minute. This so transformational, and he's just playing blinders every week at the minute.
Playing blinders. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Zinchenko. I do love fullbacks. I've got
because you were one.
I've got Tierney. Yeah, I've got Tierney and I've got Tomiyasu. I love Gabby as well.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan of Gabby. Yeah,
there's a lot of likable players.
There is. There really is. Even Granit Xhaka. Quite like Granit Xhaka. The redemption.
Well, I did say I loved him last season on the podcast. That's on record out there. All
right. Sean Bowser. I'm sorry if I forgot your name. Not really a question. Just venting might have set as a red member not being able to get a ticket to Category A games.
Yeah.
Sean, just keep checking the ticket exchange.
It's annoying though. I get it.
They will arise. They do come up. You just got to literally check every day.
Check every day and be on the
demand is high. I remember Tottenham last season went to Reds and they were like sitting. People slept on them.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I'm quite lucky because I use the supporters club for tickets, so I don't have to go for the rigmarole of having to log on.
Logging on is a pain in the arse. It is a pain in the arse, and they are going super fast. Even at silver level, I've noticed they're being snapped up like there's no tomorrow. So
snapping up. One more question before we go.
What? Right, go on in last one. Come on.
William IW30. Do you think we should keep Pepe? Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's a nice easy. That is a quick one to answer, and it's no.
Literally.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thanks for the question, but that was a very easy answer. Yeah, thanks for everybody. Yeah,
there are more. So apologies. We will be doing this weekly now. So just anything you want to ask us. You can even ask us what our favourite dinner is. What milkshakes, flavour milkshakes we like. I like Goreo.
What colour socks you don't or do like?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. It hasn't got to be Arsenal related. It could be anything you want to ask us.
Absolutely.
So you've got to go out for dinner. Are you going to win night? I do. Actually? Where you getting Mackies? Treating the missus, eh?
Do you know
Treating the wife?
There's nothing wrong with
anniversary Mackies.
Anniversary's in a couple of weeks. We'll be going somewhere nice for that. We're going Burger King, innit? No, I hate Burger King. No, to be honest, we're just going out for a little Italian this evening with a couple of friends. So looking forward to that. And it's nice just not to have to cook on a Monday because cooking, the end results are great.
Get in the bin.
I can get in the bin. But look, I guess on that bombshell, it's time to end the show. And look, we'd just like to thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast. We actually generally mean that as well because, there's a lot of you that tune in to take some time out of your day, and we just want to say thank you very much for that. Look, if you want to follow either of us on the major social media platforms, you can do so. Steve, he can be found on Instagram at @InTheClockEnd and Twitter at @InTheClockEnd. Myself, you'll find me on Twitter at _the_Ars_ and Instagram at the Arsenal Shirt. We'll be back for a pre-match podcast before Fulham home this week. So please keep an eye on your social media feeds for the next podcast. But as always, until then, look after yourselves, look after each other. Bye-bye.